Ben Riches, who is a 23-year-old high school dropout and business owner from the small town of Cookeville, Tennessee. He's married with 2 kids. He owns a pest control company based in Louisville, Kentucky. After 2.5 years in door-to-door sales and a year as a pest control technician, Ben took the leap to start his own business. He built his company from scratch, growing it to $250,000 in business with nearly 300 recurring customers in just 1 year. Welcome to the Bug Bux Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. Welcome to the Bug Bux Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. I'm your host, Eric Bassett, and across the way in Vancouver, Washington, in our Bug Bux Plus studio, my co-host, Jay Claus. What's up, dude?
What's up, Eric? And what's up, my Bug Buxers?
All right, man. So this is relevant right now. Who knows when this is going to be relevant in the future? Have you seen Wicked?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
Oh, I thought it was great, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
So
Yeah.
are you, okay, when was the last time you actually saw Wizard of Oz?
Wow. You know what? I think, okay, so let me just put this in parentheses because this is relevant to Wizard of Oz. But I
Okay.
think the last time that I actually watched Wizard of Oz, I think was when I was probably 17 or 18, where me and my buddies learned that you could start Pink Floyd's The Wall. Like at some point, they're like when they're skipping down the Yellow Brick Road or something, and then the entire album is like a soundtrack to Wizard of Oz. Did you know about this?
Dude, I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm sure you could
Awesome.
probably even find it on YouTube. But yeah, I think this was pre-YouTube. Obviously, we had to like have the Wizard of Oz on the screen here, and the CD of Pink Floyd's The Wall over here. But I think that's the last time. So we're talking 1998, 99?
Yeah, dude, I have not seen The Wizard of Oz for the longest time. And like the last time I thought about it was when I was reading the Oz Principle, like the book, just because it makes reference to it, right?
Yeah.
I haven't really watched it, don't really keep up on it, but Brinley is
Oh, she
super
loves it.
into Wicked.
Yep.
And like she's one of those like fans of Wicked where like she's watching the people get into Wicked now, and she's like, I've been a fan for like over 10 years, so
Yeah.
a bunch of
Posers.
bandwagoners, right? Exactly. So we saw it in theaters, and then we just bought it last night to watch
sure.
at home.
Yeah.
I just have to say, I'm a sucker for like a villain origin story movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
any of those.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a musical or not.
Yeah.
I'm totally for it.
Yeah.
But what would you say is your favorite musical?
Okay, well, before I answer that question, I just have to say that my favorite part of Wicked was for sure Ariana Grande. Woo!
Okay, dude.
Oh,
No
man.
joke. There's a scene. This is a spoiler alert. Not really a spoiler alert, but there's a scene in that movie where she has like her little training wand, and she like is like swirling it around, and then she throws it up, and she's supposed to catch it and swirl it around again, but she tosses it up. It never comes back down. So she just looks around and like swings her hand around for a second, and then just like moves on with the scene. It killed me, dude. So good.
Yeah.
She's great in the
I'm
movie.
definitely a huge Ariana Grande fan. I think that she's just adorable.
Yeah, dude.
Does that make me an old person if I think that if I say adorable? Does that age me?
Only a little, right?
Okay.
Only a little.
I feel like I'm too old to say that she's super hot.
I mean,
She's adorable. We'll just go with
it
that.
depends on the age gap. We'll put it that way.
Right.
We're getting into dangerous waters here on
Yeah,
Bug Bux.
I would have never thought about that until just now. So maybe I am arriving at that age.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get too carried away.
No, you're asking me about my favorite musical.
Oh, yeah. Okay. My bad. Continue. Do go on.
Okay. So my favorite musical, hands down, is Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, I should have known this. I should have
Judge,
known this.
judge me if you like. If you've never seen Little Shop of Horrors, just watch it. It's fantastic.
That is classic.
Second runner-up, Les Mis, for sure.
Ooh, Les Mis is really good.
I'm not into Phantom. I actually haven't seen Hamilton, so I should probably see that before I
I have seen Hamilton. I am a fan. It's really cool, especially if you're into history, like American history.
Hmm.
That's a
Hmm.
fun one.
Yeah.
Dude, one of my at least top three is Newsies,
Oh yeah,
right?
Newsies.
Like
Yeah,
Christian Bale, and then
Christian
obviously
Bale.
there's all these dudes that run around with freaking slingshots. I was like, this movie's awesome. Sign
Yeah,
me up, bro. Newspaper boys, let's do it.
yeah. I
So
forgot about Newsies. Yeah, good
oh,
one.
yeah, there's a
Yeah.
whole, we've got our whole list. We'll do a whole podcast episode about me and
Yeah.
Jake's favorite
Well,
musicals.
as soon as you introduce our guest, we're gonna have to ask him because
We
I
will.
feel like our guest today is a man of sophistication and culture. So
Ooh, yes.
I want to find out what his certainly not Little Shop of Horrors as a favorite. That's
And and I mean, no pressure, right? But even if he doesn't like musicals, he's got about 30 seconds of me going through my typical spiel to find one that he likes and tell us that he likes it.
Yeah.
So
Get on to Google, open up a window.
perfect. All right. And before we bring the guest on, as always, just want to remind everybody listening, the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform like Apple, YouTube, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, Bug Bux Plus. That is BUGBUX Plus. We have the owners only group that has over 4,700 other pest control owners waiting to connect with you and share their thoughts. We also have the Bug Bux Pest Pros group for non-owner team members designed to help them develop in their roles. Joining the groups is the best way to connect with us, share your feedback on our show, and have your questions highlighted and discussed here on the podcast. So make sure you find us on Facebook and join one of those groups. All right. Before we actually bring the guest on and ask him the ridiculous question of what's your favorite musical, I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a bio, some background here. We have none other than Ben Riches, who is a 23-year-old high school dropout and business owner from the small town of Cookeville, Tennessee. He's married with 2 kids. He owns a pest control company based in Louisville, Kentucky. After 2.5 years in door-to-door sales and a year as a pest control technician, Ben took the leap to start his own business. Through resilience, creative problem-solving, and relentless determination, he built his company from scratch, growing it to $250,000 in business with nearly 300 recurring customers in just 1 year. Ben, how are you, dude?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good,
We're
man.
doing great.
Good.
Awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Glad to
Okay.
be here.
Okay, so favorite musical.
I'm gonna need you to list them off, Eric.
Go through a list. Okay, well, obviously we've got like the most recent ones, right? You got Wicked, you got Hamilton, old school ones. You got Phantom of the Opera, Newsies. We'll throw in Rent. There's a classic.
Oh, Rent. Yeah, I wasn't
a
big.
little bit more progressive.
Mamma Mia, also not big.
No,
on
no,
Mamma
no,
Mia.
no. Can't even lump Mamma Mia in there. That's a ridiculous movie. Pierce Brosnan. That almost ruined it for me.
Oh, yeah. You know what? So you have these musicals where they have people that can't freaking sing. Pierce Brosnan cannot sing. Oh my gosh, who played Javert in what's his name?
What's his name? He's from the Gladiator. Yeah.
Yeah, freaking, what's his name?
Quick, Ben. What's his name? The guy that played on Gladiator.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. I was looking it up. So I'm a terrible singer. Just naturally, I cannot sing. I sound like a wounded giraffe when I try to sing. It's terrible. But I can do. What's his name? It's
Russell Crowe, dude. It's Russell Crowe.
That's right.
Honestly,
I can do a Russell Crowe acting as Javert impersonation, and I freaking know it. All you have to do is take whatever singing you think you have in your chest and in your voice, and just cycle it through your nose, and then you've got Russell Crowe as Javert.
what I really want, I just want to do a mashup where Javert is like singing, and like it's one of those parts where you're like, dude, you shouldn't be singing this. And then he just like breaks character for a second, looks right at the camera, and he's like, "Are you not entertained?" From Gladiator. That's what I need. That's what I need in my life before I kick the bucket, dude.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
If anybody listening can do some video editing and send that to me, that would be 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So, all right, Ben, you got to pick one. What do you?
I honestly don't know a lot of movie names, nor do I know the actors. Like half the movies you guys just named, I've never heard of. but but I do like. I know I like. What's that? Newer one. It's a few years old. Greatest Showman.
Oh, okay.
I do like The Greatest Showman.
About
that is really good, actually.
I don't know if this is considered a musical or not, but like that.
Oh, totally.
The newer Beauty and the Beast. I really like that one.
Sure. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Newer Beauty and the Beast. The Greatest Showman, actually, that is a really good choice. I'm glad you brought that
good
up.
music there.
I don't know the actor's name, but the girl that plays Beauty, that's me for you, for Ariana.
You're talking about Emma Watson?
Is that who plays it?
Like in Beauty and the Beast, in the
no,
live
I'm
action?
not thinking Beauty and the Beast. I'm thinking Cinderella. Sorry.
The
new Cinderella.
There's a new Cinderella?
Well, newer.
Oh. Dude, I've got two little girls. I should probably know about that.
It's a live action one.
Yeah, it is a live action one.
She has a big blue dress on and stuff.
Oh, tell me more.
Like Cinderella would. Is it Lily James?
I'll look. Tell you.
Maybe.
Yeah, Lily James. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lily James isn't hard to look at either. Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Oh, she's also in is that the actress in Baby Driver?
I can't remember.
Lily James? Oh, let's find out. Okay.
Yes, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it actually is. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Dude. Okay. Also, you should watch Baby Driver.
I've seen the trailer like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're like, it's like, it's like The Italian Job almost. It's got that same kind of vibe, right? Bank robbers, bank robbing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's awesome. Nice. I like how we've transitioned and just kind of migrated over to this this musical and movie conversation.
Yeah.
Forget pest control. That's not important. Let's talk about movies. Let's go.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Ben. We'll get back on topic. So obviously looking at your rap sheet here, dude, you've got some awesome experience. But I think it's really cool that you have taken completely from scratch and gone to $250,000 in 1 year. You got 300 recurring customers. So I just want to dive into maybe your initial thought process, kind of what you were thinking, what you were planning before the company actually started, before you would kind of hit day one. And then what you feel like has been the biggest impact to actually hitting those numbers by, day 365. So where did you start? Obviously, you've been in pest control for a while, but what got you really into the idea of having your own pest control company?
Yeah, so I did door-to-door sales for 2.5 years. Half years because that year I was teching. I was like knocking a lot and teching. And so I did like 100,000 in personal sales and then like tech full route that entire year.
Really?
So
Wow.
That was a lot of work. I was working like 14-hour days. It was insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, every year I was doing door-to-door. It just like was the hardest thing for me. I was not bad at door-to-door sales. Like my average day is like 3 sales a day, which isn't great, but it's not like horrible.
And 3 sales a day pays the bills.
I worked for the Grit. It was below average.
Oh, that's fair.
I was below average. But anyway, so it was so much work, like going and selling it, and like every year I have to start over. And it just like, it bugged me so much. And so when I finished my second year, my cousin had actually started a pest control company years ago in Utah, and he sold it to one of his technicians, and then they basically got me a job with that company. And they were opening up Seattle, Washington. And so I was managing the Utah branch with a couple other techs and like doing sales, and we acquired like 2 companies that year that I found and did just a bunch of work there. So that was kind of my idea of actually starting the company. Was like, hey, why start it when you can just go acquire companies and go work for someone else, and get the benefits. But that didn't work out super well. They ended up letting me go like the last week of November, first week. I stopped working the first week of December. And it was just like, well, hey, that didn't work out. Like, let's just go start a company. It was like not 3 weeks later, we were driving out to Kentucky. Like,
so why Kentucky?
There was no real reason for Kentucky. Like, I'm from Tennessee, and I knew I wanted to be closer, but not too close where I'm obligated to travel to my families,
Yeah.
And so it was literally a dart at a board and it just landed in Kentucky, and it was either Louisville or Lexington. Like there was literally no thought process behind why Kentucky.
The most intentional, unintentional decision.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was one slight factor was there was a company out here I was trying to buy, and he backed out eventually. So that played a part in it, but it wasn't that big of a. He backed out before I decided. So
Well,
Gotcha.
you know, sometimes that's the best way to do it, right? You can overthink things, and then you can suffer from paralysis via analysis, right? So sometimes just throwing a dart at the board and like saying, "Okay, God, blow on the dart," and let it land where it's supposed to land. And I have a good friend who started a pest control company, and he said, "Doesn't matter where you start. If somebody else is doing it there, you can do it too."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
100%. And I want to rewind just a little bit because I think the selling teching combo is something that a lot of people ask about. So I just want to pick your brain a little bit on, if you remember, what your schedule was like and how you managed your time and just maybe the ins and outs of doing that. So how did you pull that off? What was your schedule like?
So the owners were up in Seattle, Washington. So they weren't there. And so originally when I'd signed on, it was me going to be running the Utah branch, but hey, you're going to be teching and stuff as well, kind of doing anything that needs to be done. And then when I got there in January, there was like 5 foot of snow on the ground. And so I did they do holiday lighting in the winter. And so I was doing holiday lighting, which was the worst experience ever.
Yeah.
And then in like May or April, I guess, we started teching, and I was just doing full routes. So it was me and one other tech that just did full routes. And we were doing that. And then like middle of the summer, probably like around June or July, it slowed down a bit where he could handle majority of the routes, and I could do a full route, but it was just kind of a waste of time. And so I would do the route to begin with, and then in that neighborhood, I would just start knocking and signing up as many people as I can.
So did you go in a specific direction? Was it typical clover leafing, like just next door neighbors and across the street, or how did you manage it?
No, it was knocking the entire neighborhood. But like I would get the route done within by noon, and then from noon to the 7, 8 o'clock, it was like knocking. I had my iPad in the car and everything, and so it was just straight knocking till the evening.
Okay, I feel like that's a top 1%.
And then I would service them after I signed them up. So I would pull up the van. It was parked down the road, so I'd go get it, pull it up, service them, and then I would go re-knock the neighbors. Hey, like they just got it done.
Relief.
I'm already here. Let's just give you a discount. Let's get it done. And then.
Dude.
You know what?
We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Are you a pest control operator that's paying for inbound leads for services that you don't offer or are outside your service area? How would you like to be able to get paid for referring those leads to other companies, all while getting high-quality referrals in return? If you're getting calls for jobs you can't take on, Baton has you covered. With Baton, you can easily refer those callers to other trusted companies and get paid for it. It's super simple. Just create your profile to show what services you offer and where, then start referring leads to more than 500 of Baton's vetted partners, all while getting exclusive, high-converting leads referred back to you in return. Every referral you submit not only gets you paid, but also increases your chances of getting referrals from other companies. And don't worry, every Baton partner pledges not to steal or poach your existing customers in need of other services that you don't provide. With Baton handling the transaction, you can know that customers you refer are in good hands. For Bug Bux Plus subscribers, there are no onboarding or membership fees. Plus, you can get up to $400 in free referral credits just for being a subscriber to the Bug Bux Plus platform. Give referrals, and get paid. Join Baton today. Go to bugbuxplus.com/Baton to get started. Now back to the Bug Bux Podcast.
That's the kind of thing that entrepreneur owners do. But when you're doing that for somebody else's company, I mean, that's like an entrepreneur. We've talked about entrepreneurs before, an entrepreneur is like you go out and you bust it and hustle it for yourself. But an entrepreneur is somebody that does that inside your company. And if you can find an entrepreneur, they're worth their weight in cosmic gold.
Need
Right?
to clarify one thing. I didn't receive any commission from that. That was my
What?
when it was slow. Like that was like, hey, let's keep.
That's his
my
like.
whole-
I
my
might
whole
as
vibe
well
was
just
like,
go ahead
hey,
and
we're
knock
growing this
doors while I'm
company.
at it.
You
Yeah,
know,
no, it
Ben,
was like, hey,
there's
we're growing
actually a
this company.
position opening up at Natura Pest Control. You know, if you guys wanted to.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So that was
number one,
interesting.
Ben,
Yeah, that's nuts.
great job. Great job. Number two, because you were both selling in a door-to-door aspect, not as a technician and also as the technician, do you think that knocking in the technician uniform has benefit over just knocking in shorts and a polo?
When we moved to Kentucky, I only knocked in a technician outfit.
Oh yeah.
100%. Like, it's just hard for people. It's harder for people to say no if it looks like I'm supposed to be there.
Yep.
Like,
Nice.
when I'm in shorts, it looks like I'm going to play basketball or something, you know?
Yep.
Which, like, is how I knocked the first 2 years, but it was a different, like, it was slower, people shutting doors on me, you know? Which there were a lot of them, but, you know, it was...
Yeah, and it follows. I mean, we've actually had a couple of door knocking guys who ended up driving some company vehicles. We're not going to go into the specifics of that, but they wore technician uniforms, and they loved
They actually asked specifically, can we wear technician uniforms? And so we ordered them, like with their name on them and everything. Like
had them tailored.
the,
They were tailored
what's the
technician
name?
uniforms.
What's the name of that red hat or whatever? You know, like the Alsco brand uniform shirt. You know, where the top button's a snap and then the rest of them are buttons. Like they wanted those, and so we got those shirts for them.
That's
And
awesome.
that's what we saw too, dude. In fact, one of the guys even wanted to carry a bee pole. That's what we call a Webster brush. He wanted to carry a small Webster brush from door to door, and he would be like, "Yeah, I'll just get these webs around." And he looked like a technician, so people were like, "I guess he's supposed to be here. He's not one of those summer sales guys riding around on a wheelie dealie, you know, going door to door." So
I will say I did park close. Anytime I got far enough from the vehicle, I would go grab it and pull it closer. So and I would always my pitch was it did change to like I'm right here, like I can just get it done right now. Like let's just get it done. Let's just get it done. You know,
Dude, what a killer combination. I think that people don't realize how much of an impact that has, because when you're a door-to-door sales guy, like, yeah, you can definitely have a lot of sales skills, but the urgency that you're talking about is like imaginary, right? When you're like, hey, my truck's right down the road. It's like, well, if they look down the road and your truck's not there, like,
yeah,
I mean, are you really, you know, like, but if you're a technician, like it just completely changes the whole landscape of what you're trying to do at the time. And then, like Ben's saying, like he sold and serviced his own accounts and then would go back and re-knock those other doors after he serviced them. Like, hey, I know I was just here, but just want to let you know I actually, you know, signed up and serviced John's house right across the street. You know, I've got some extra time. How about we just get yours taken care of right now? Dude.
that's bonkers. Wait, let me ask this. Hold on. So did you bring, and maybe this is what Eric was going to naturally transition into, but did you bring that same hustle, that same mindset into Apex when you started the company? Is that the what cojones? I don't know, what is that the gumption that you brought into your business when you started it?
You know, like when I started Apex, like to me it was all, even that what I did, it was all like necessity. It wasn't like hey, I'm gonna go be cool kind of thing. But looking back and like last night I wrote down everything I knew about my company and everything I've done. Reading it does actually, it was like that is actually a little crazier reading back on it than, you know. So like when we started Apex, it was January 5th when we got out to Kentucky, and it was freezing out. It was like 20 degrees outside, and we got this house, this little brick house that we rented. No one would rent to us either. Like we're moving across the country. We didn't have a job offer or anything, you know.
Yep.
We couldn't get a lease anywhere, and we literally called this lady that had her house on Facebook. It's a tiny little brick house, like 2-bedroom, and we signed the lease while driving out to Kentucky. Like she wouldn't let us move in without signing the lease, and so we were on the phone with her showing. She's an old lady, like trying to show her how to email it to us so that I could sign it. And we're like getting it signed and everything. And when we get to that house, it was like 10 o'clock at night. We drove it in 2 days or whatever. And that house actually ended up having like a full cockroach infestation. And I had never
Whoa.
treated cockroaches before.
Yeah.
So I'm
Not
like,
really a big thing in Utah, right?
yeah, no, not as much. No, and
Yeah.
before I got our stuff out of the car, I'm like grabbing my products and stuff. Like, hey, let's just go treat the house first, you know. It's like 12 o'clock at night now, and but like the next day, I went out and started knocking, and it was just the neighborhood right behind us, and I didn't have a work car or anything. We used our minivan, and
Yeah.
so like I had a minivan and stuck everything in the back, strapped it as best I could, and I'd be like, yeah, my car's right here. Like, I can come service it right now. And I'd be like running back to my house to grab the minivan and then drive it back and service my first like 15 customers. It's like,
Dude, okay.
You're coloring outside the lines, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, like what you're saying flies in the face of everything that people think that they have to have squared away before they can start,
nothing
right?
was squared
Yeah.
away, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it was so bizarre.
Well,
Like,
talk
Yeah.
about
Oh,
talk
dude,
about
that's
burning your
crazy.
ships, and like we say this all the time. Like, do what you can with what you have where you are. You know, and yeah, like Jake is saying, there's so much conversation in the podcast and in the Facebook group about, okay, you got to have this lined up, make sure this is going on. You know, this equipment, this kind of vehicle, all these other things. Dude, you're just out here driving to a state you don't even have a house in yet, signing the lease that you don't even have, you know, don't even know if you're going to get. With you got product, and then you moved into a house that has roaches in it, which is just hilarious
well,
and
like,
completely ironic.
Dude,
Yeah.
can I just say real quick also, if you're watching, you can see that Jana just slid right in here
What?
as a co-host.
What's
with
up,
us.
Jana?
hey,
So
Dana.
You're recording?
Look
Yeah.
at her face. She has no idea. She has no idea that we're live in a podcast episode. She just sat down because it's convenient.
I'm just gonna.
no, you're in it now.
You're stuck now. You're not
You're
going
stuck
anywhere.
now.
When
Yeah.
sorry, I mouthed the words. Have you recorded? And Jake said yes, so I thought he was.
I thought you said, "Are you recording?" But you know what? It's totally fine. You belong here. Just jump right in, babe.
Yeah, Jana, meet Ben. Ben, meet Jana.
Ben, Jana, Ben. Yeah. Okay, so we were talking about how Ben's painting outside the lines. He's going in the face of convention. He's punk rock. He's doing it his own way, like Frank Sinatra. What did your wife think of all of this as this was going on? And I'm going to ask this because my wife just showed up, and your story is super similar to ours, and I think that there's going to be a lot of appreciation here going both ways.
This is what my wife thought of it is we had a 1-year-old and she was pregnant. Like, they're 2 under 2. So like right now
Wow.
they're 6 months and 2 years. He just turned 2. So whatever age
Wow.
that was at the time. But like December we get fired and we weren't making bank either that year. We made like $3,200 a month. Like, and Utah rent's expensive as crap. So
Yeah.
like it was expensive. And anyway, so we get let go and I just like throw it out there. Let's just go start a company. Let's just do it. Like, and to put more problems to the issue, we didn't even have like enough money to like drive out there. We didn't even have the gas money to get out to Kentucky.
Dude, I love
Like,
this.
We would have been stuck
great.
halfway if we tried leaving with whatever we had in our bank account.
Yeah.
And so within like 2 weeks, I called like everyone I knew and I raised like 30 grand. And
Wow.
I raised that, and that's what paid for everything
Were
getting out
these
to
gifts
Kentucky.
or
at
was
least.
this alone?
No, these were like, so I'm doing the same thing this year, and we're actually raising money right now for it. Was I knew marketing a bit, and so it was like, hey, for every dollar I spend in ads, I can get up to $5 back. Is basically how
Yeah.
I was running my ads, and so that was my pitch. Like, hey, like what I would do is if you give me $1, I'll pay you $2 back over 3 years, and so you get 100% return, but I break it up monthly payments over 3 years. So like the 30,000 I raise, like I think I'm paying like $1,200 a month,
That's
for the next
awesome.
3 years.
Dude.
But in return, I got a business that's doing 16,000 recurring, so it evens out really well.
Dude, I hope that everybody listening is taking notes, because if there's a coloring book about starting a pest control company, bro, you're like
I
going
can't
out to
color the
market.
lines anyway, so
I
Yeah,
love
he's
it.
like, I don't know what those lines even mean.
yeah.
So your wife, as you're doing all this, is she like, "Yep, let's go, let's do it," or is she like, "Holy crap,
She's sitting
this is a
back like,
terrible
what
idea"?
are you doing? Well, so I raised, I think it was like 15 grand from her dad, actually, and then, 10 grand from someone else, and take, like, what is that? 5 grand from someone else. There we go. Anyway, so I raised that, and I had my Viserys account with the company I was working for out there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And
Yep.
so before I left, because I was licensed stuff, I bought everything I needed for like the first month under their account. Like I paid for it, but under their account.
Right.
And
cool.
because I didn't have a Viserys account or Oldham Chemical. And so I bought it all. And then when we were like packing the car ready to go, we only had the minivan. And it's like a 2012 Honda Odyssey. That's like all we
Yeah,
had.
buddy.
And the
Classic.
parent was given to us
Yeah,
by
that
her
was nice.
parents. So like
We
it
had a
wasn't even a car we
Kia
owned.
Yes, Sedona.
Sedona. Yep.
Yeah, like it was given to us by her dad. Like it wasn't even like we had a car. It was they gave us a car. And anyway, so we threw away like 80% of the stuff we owned to fit all the pest control stuff in the car,
Yeah.
Priorities.
just to make sure we could fit all that. And then we each had like 2 suitcases, and that was it. And
Dude.
we're like starting to drive out there, and we had after all of the initial expenses, maybe like 20 grand left of like to spend.
Yeah.
We get out there, and she's just like eyes wide open, like, this is insane. Like, what are you doing? Like, I hope you know what you're doing, because it's like.
Did she believe in the vision, or she was like just along for the ride, wanting to see how it would work out?
I think she was married to me, and she didn't know she had a choice.
She was stuck.
Yeah, she's stuck.
Makes sense.
She's
But,
like,
like,
I'm chained to the circus, so
We have a 1-year-old, and she's pregnant, and it's like, she's like, I don't know.
She's like, well, do I do this on my own, or do I follow Ben?
Yeah,
It's a
like-
tough choice.
But
Wow.
like our worst case scenario was, hey, I did 100,000 my both years or all 3 years I sold, right? And so it's like worst case scenario, we'll make 30 grand, 40 grand, and,
Right.
be okay.
Which is even with what you were making anyway.
Yeah, that was what we were making anyway. So, so that was kind of what I was telling her, like, worst case scenario, we'll still be okay, But we get out to Kentucky, I start knocking. I got like 10 customers in January. And I actually, because that house had cockroaches, I actually negotiated with the owner to get like 2 months rent free. So I actually saved like
Rad.
2 months. I was like, I'll completely get rid of the issue.
Awesome.
And so we didn't pay rent until March. And so that helped a bit.
That's an expensive cockroach
dude,
job.
what a freaking hustle.
She didn't know
dude.
better.
What a hustle.
But I was trying to get rent. But
Ben, we're
Yeah.
gonna have to. You should write a book, and it should be called "You Don't Know Unless You Ask." That's what we should title this book, because
That's a
you're
good
doing
book.
so many really cool creative things that people don't usually think about, or they think that it could be a possibility, but it's just so outside of the realm that they're not even going to bother. And you're like, I have no other option, so might as well make it happen.
yeah.
When did your wife actually get on board? At what point, or has she yet? Did she say, man, I'm glad that you did this. I see the vision.
May of last year. Because
May. Okay.
we made like $1,000 in January, and then made like $1,000 in February. And at that point, she's still like, hey, like, you're not
Jeez.
really making money either, like, are you sure you know what you're doing? And then in March we did 16 grand, and then April we did like 28 grand, and then in May we did 58 grand. So
Yep.
Wow.
so with that
Yeah.
58 hit, and I showed her a check for like 25 grand for one account, for one customer that we did. And
Yeah.
she was like, okay. She's like, I think you know what you're doing now. She's like, I trust you.
25 grand
Okay,
for one
tell
customer?
me, tell me about this magical unicorn customer.
Yeah.
That was a pain in the butt is what it was. We had this person call us, and they were an HOA, and they had 32 massive buildings, condos. It was like 800 some units. But it's like 32 big buildings, and like 8 of them had termites. And so they wanted every building treated for termites. And before this year, I had never treated termites either. So
Wow.
I'm watching the Bug
Add it
Bux,
to the
like,
list.
hey, how do you do this? You know, I'm watching YouTube videos. Dan the Bug Man, like, hey, how to randomly do it. And
Dude.
so I just quoted them. All these people were quoting 50 grand, 40 grand, all this stuff, you know, and I was like, I'll do it for 25 grand. I was like,
You just came in rock bottom low.
yeah, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to quote for this, but I was like,
Oh
I've never
my
done a
gosh.
commercial account, so I was like, let's just do this. And they're like, sure.
Did you
let's
end
do
up
it.
above water on it?
Yeah, we made like, it was like 15 grand on it, 10 grand, something like that.
And now
Oh,
you know.
great.
And now you actually know
now
how to do it.
I actually have official structure pricing. So
Yeah.
Ben, that's
But-
freaking money.
Dude.
yeah, it
Dude.
took us 3
Yeah, I
months to
love it.
treat it though. They paid us 50% up front, 50% after it was done. And it took us 3 whole months. Like it was like they started it in the end of April, and it was April, May, and June, and we finished it like middle of June. And we were just like going there every morning. We'd go do one, you know, half a building or one building, and we're sitting there, and I heard just like some random guys that just knew were hard workers, and I would just have them just trench, big deep trenches, and
Wait, where'd
and
you
then-
find these guys?
they were just guys one of them I hired as a technician and got him licensed and stuff. The other was just people I knew or had met while I was there. And
No joke. For a second, I thought you meant like you showed up on site and you just saw some guys and
No,
you were
no, no.
like, dude,
Like,
you
it
guys
was
want to work?
just guys
That
on
would
my
not
page
have
that were, like,
surprised me at all if you did that.
on my
Ben.
Facebook
Yeah,
page,
I'm
you
in
can see the
building.
picture of
I'm
all
in
of us.
apartment 25B. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah, but I just had them carry buckets, and we just did literally, it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of buckets of treatment, and I used a flow zone with a rod, and I would stick that down there, and we filled that flow zone up every 10 feet, 20 feet.
Wow.
And it just took so long to treat, you know.
Okay, knowing
Have
what
you
you know
always-
now, sorry,
but
knowing what you
Red-
know now, would you go back and do it all over again
Oh, yeah.
with that account?
The calluses I got in my hands
When?
were insane.
Dude. Okay. Does your wife have does she have a position in the company, or is it completely separate?
At first, she was doing all the calls and stuff, but then when she got closer to having that second child, she's like, no. She's like, you got to figure it out. So,
Yeah.
Yep, that
That
makes
sense.
all
So-
of us that have had wives involved in the business.
Yep.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Yep.
it's a special kind of sacrifice that our
Yep.
wives
I remember
make.
Jana answering the phone 2 days after our fourth baby was born, and
Yeah.
some customer yelling at her, and Jana's like, "I'm sorry, I just had a baby 2 days
Like,
ago."
babies are crying.
No, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Or it was the day before.
Yeah, I was like, sorry, I just had a baby yesterday. I'm so sorry. I'm just now returning your phone call about your rats.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. We had the baby. in
Okay,
June,
so-
but-
So I want to come back to this thing. So Ben, you're a high school dropout.
yeah.
Wait. Okay. I missed this part of the story, and I was just about to ask you, has this always been the way that you've lived life? And that kind of answers my question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did get into some trouble back at like my 8th grade year in middle
Mhm.
school. And I
Mhm.
got into the freshman year, and I did the first semester, and it just was not working out. And I did get suspended, and eventually I just kind of dropped out. I didn't even finish the first semester of high school. And my
Wow.
mom wouldn't let me do that, so I took my GED test like 2 weeks later, got like a 90 whatever score on it. So I'm not stupid, but I just couldn't do all the school stuff.
Well, you know what? The system isn't right for everybody. You know what? When we first started this call, as soon as I heard that, I looked it up, and I'm just going to read of just a short list of some successful business owners who dropped out of high school. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to read them. Bill Gates, David Karp, Francois Pinault, Aretha Franklin, Jim Clark, Quentin Tarantino, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, George Foreman, David Murdoch,
Is this for real?
Walt Disney, Michael Dell. I guess that's what, Dell Computers, maybe. Richard Branson, Joe Louis, Henry Ford, Oprah Winfrey, and Jay-Z.
There we go.
Wow.
So, dude, you're like Richard Branson.
Well, the other part of that was I didn't do nothing, if that's how you say that. I didn't just sit around and do nothing. I read like hundreds of books before I turned 18. Like I was
Love
always
it.
and I have never read like an interesting book. They're all the boring like self-develop. I have like maybe 50 right here, but I have like 3 totes full of them. Like just
What about high school
but
was so unappealing to you?
let's see. I'm not a good employee. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
I've been let go from every hourly job I've had.
I bet you
Since
have.
I dropped out of high school. Like
You did not follow
within a
rules.
few months, I just get fired. And I literally when the company out in Utah let me go, the pest control company, they said, Ben, you make a great entrepreneur, but not a very good employee. And then
Dude, that's great.
like,
They set you free. They
I
set
can
you free.
imagine, like, can you just imagine the pitch when he asks his soon-to-be father-in-law if he can marry this girl, right? He's like, hey, just so you
that
know,
was not a good pitch.
I dropped out of high school. I'm going to marry your daughter. Also, I need $10,000 because I'm going to
Hang
go
on.
start a company.
This is assuming that Ben even asked. Ben, did you ask your father-in-law?
I did
Right.
ask, and it seemed like a very disappointing phone call. And
Okay,
he sat down Melanie and was like, you know, you got to think about this stuff. He's very, and to give you perspective, he is the most like follow the system,
Buy the book.
complete
Get a college degree.
He is like the perfect example of what to do. Like,
Yeah.
And you know, he's a
How did you swing
corporate
Melanie?
manager, and I still don't know, actually.
Smart man.
But he sat
Keep
Melanie
wondering.
down, and he was like, "You got to think about this stuff." You know, and he lists out all the stuff that was,
Yeah.
you know, not normal.
How does he feel
And-
now?
Oh, he's fine with it now. Like,
Proud of you.
Well, you know what? Before I got married, there was an older, wiser gentleman, and he told me, Jake, the best thing that you can do is find a woman who's smarter than you, who's better looking than you, and more righteous than you, and then somehow convince her it's a good idea she marries you.
Shannon's over there like, hey.
Right? And that's what I found. I followed his advice.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and I know we're kind of short on time, so I gotta ask you some of these questions before I forget to. So January you put on 10 customers, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously February and March you start to really pick up. But what was the growth method that you used? Was it all by referral? Was it still door knocking? You know, I mean, you're at 300 customers within your first year, but how did you get all those customers? What were the tips and tricks?
Yeah. So the biggest thing was before we moved out here, or as we were driving out, I called every pest control company out here and tried buying them. And
With your $20,000.
with the
that you
individual,
had left.
I was going to owner finance that stuff. Like,
Listen up, people.
I'll
We're
tell
about
you
to
what,
get
I'll
into
give
the
you
nitty-gritty.
a lot more than
Oh,
your business
dude.
is worth. But
He's got the perfect last name, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
But let's see. First bit was just, hey, just go out and grind and knock as much as you can to get anything so you can pay your bills. And then once March hit, when I called all those companies, maybe like 3 answered out of like the 25 that were on Google. And there's like 200 something pest control companies out here, and only like 30 of them are on Google. Like,
Wow.
What?
so it's like
Wow.
not a lot of active businesses out here, I guess. A lot of older guys, just, you know, mom and pop shops. And yeah, like 3 or 4 answered the phone. I think it was like 3. And hey, if we get out there and we can just like be better than anyone picking up the phone the second it rings, like we'll be able to get customers. So I turned the ads on, and with that 20 grand, I just dumped the heck out of it into ads on LSA. And I hired a lady to just post ridiculous amounts of photos on our Instagram, Facebook, and Google, just to kind of like build that. And then I asked every person we signed up to give a 5-star review. I mean, it was like 10% of our customers, but asking everyone got 10%. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I just picked up the phone. The first like 4 months or so, it was just me answering the phones and servicing. And so I didn't care if I was doing something with my wife. I would drop everything and pick up the phone. Like it was, I didn't care if it was 1 o'clock in the morning, like whatever was happening. Like we picked up the phone no matter what.
We're picking up what you're laying down, bro. We hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and so we picked up the phone like crazy people, and then just sold them. I had the sales experience, so I just pitched them until they said yes. Like, I mean, I would do like not a door-to-door pitch, but close enough. Like, it sounded like a door-to-door person. And I would just lay out the price, like, hey, we're going to do better, this and that, and just give them all the benefits of what we're going to do. And then they would say yes, and so I would drive out within 20 minutes, like, to go service them. Like, I'd be like, let's go. Like, go get them done. And then we increased that, and we had that big month because of the commercial account in May. But we averaged probably around 25,000 a month or so, majority of the year when we were running ads. So
how crazy!
The new title of his book is The Shameless Grind.
Yes,
grind.
Honestly, it's like
that could be book 2.
Ben Rich's story.
Yes.
Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Ben, so many good things that we've talked about. I mean, just the whole idea, the perspective that you have, where it's like, just go out and get it done, you know? And like, you didn't know half of where you're going to be able to get any of your resources, and you still went out and got it done. So it just goes to show you that, like, if you've got a vision, you've got the drive and the grit and determination to make it happen, it'll happen, right? Where there's a will, there's a way, and hopefully there's also a Ben Rich's.
Right.
So, dude, what a fantastic job. So looking into this next year, what's the big push? What's the next big focus? You know, are you guys kind of maintaining what you're doing? Is there something new you're implementing? What do you guys got going on?
Yeah, so everything from the beginning, shout out to you guys. Like, before I did start it, when I was teching and selling that year in 2023, I listened, I added it up. It was like over 3,000 hours of just Audible and books and podcasts. Like, I was learning as much as I possibly could. I would listen to every Bug Bux podcast there is.
Nice.
The idea was, hey, like, if I can learn everything they're doing, right, it's like we can just create a company that mirrors that, you know, the best practices of everything, or at least best you can think of, you know, or learn. Mm-hmm. And so, like, by the end of this last year, we had 2 office staff, a technician, and then we had the Grit PPO answering all the sales calls. And so they were doing all the sales calls for us. And it is a weird kind of number. When you're doing door-to-door sales, you're like, hey, I'm going to hit 300 customers, and then out of that, you're going to have cancels. Versus me, it was like, I need to hit 300, so when I have cancels, it's like 270, 280. And so it was a little so right now we're like 270 something. But this next year, our goal is to, like, really take all those practices that we were doing kind of last year and, like, organize it. Like, hey, like, I was just on a call with one of our office assistants, and we're literally taking all of our documents and Excel sheets, putting them in the same files, and, like, writing out, hey, this is exactly what an office person should do and what they need to be doing. And if they do this stuff, it's like, that's a good day, right? Like, you know, they're doing what they need to be doing. And then perfecting the office, sales calls, hiring full-time technicians to handle the routes. And our goal is to do 1,000 new customers this year. So our goal is to pass 1,000, kind of that 600,000-700,000 revenue mark is the goal.
I love it.
So we're raising like 200,000 this year to pay for it. So,
what is the Ben Rich's industry hot take right now? Like, what general practice do you completely disagree with?
You want to narrow it down a little bit into something?
If there's
like a lot of practice,
like as you're going and you're starting your company, there's like a whole list of things that everyone's like, dude, you got to do all these things. Is there something that you say, you know what, just skip this? This thing doesn't even matter.
Yeah, well, it's going to be kind of a little broad statement. I was talking to Eric and I talked to Alan a little while ago, and I told Alan this and I told Eric this, and it might come off a little rude, but it's just really what I believe is, like, there's a quote by Charlie Munger, and he's like, you know, he has all these lawyers come up to him and says, hey, I don't want to be a lawyer. I'd rather be a billionaire. You know, how do you do it? And he's like, well, how old are you? Oh, I'm 23. Well, you're a little too young to be, leaving a lawyer job and go be a billionaire. And he said, well, Mozart was conducting music at 11 years old when he was 11 years old. And he said, well, Mozart wasn't asking people how to do it, and that's probably my favorite thing is everyone says hey, I'm going to go start this company. I'm going to go do this X, Y, and Z. And they're asking everyone around them and, saying, hey, how do I do this? What do I do with this? What do I do with this? And a hard belief that I have is if you can do it, you're not going to be out asking everyone, right? I didn't go ask a bunch of people. I think I asked you guys a couple questions on that Facebook video, that Facebook Live, and I told you guys I'm going to go do 300 customers, and then I'm pretty sure Alan was on it too, and he said, yeah, it's usually not, as much as you think the first year. And I was like, let's see. And but I wasn't asking everyone. It's you just got to go figure it out. Just go do it. It doesn't really matter how you do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
You just got to start doing it, and you'll figure it out when you get going, and if you don't, then you probably weren't meant to do it.
Dude, that's real. This might be anecdotal, but it was said one time that somebody asked Elon Musk the same thing. Hey, I'm starting a business. What advice do you have? And Elon Musk said something like, if you need to ask me what to do to start your business, you shouldn't be starting a business.
Yeah, you shouldn't be starting
something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and it's crazy because there's obviously, and Jake talked about this before, analysis paralysis, right? And so many people ask questions and try to figure out exactly the best way to do it so they don't, waste their time and energy. But honestly, you just end up wasting a bunch of time and energy anyway, because you can learn so much from the doing, right?
Yeah. I know there's
much you can get squared away even if you just take a leap of faith like you did and just go for it without even having half the resources that you typically should have.
No, I have a lot of people that don't like me. I know for a fact they don't like me, and it's just because, dude, just go make all the mistakes. I learned it twice as fast making the mistake rather than going trying to figure out what the mistake would have been.
You fast track your learning.
Just fast track it, and it's just make all the mistakes you can as fast as you can, and then correct it as faster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they probably don't like you because they're threatened by you.
I don't know.
I would be.
Yeah, that's it.
If I were your competitor, I would definitely feel threatened because there's nothing stopping this kid from just going out and figuring it out.
Yeah.
He's not intimidated.
Yeah,
but
people
there
that
are
are insecure,
sacrifices.
people that are insecure end up not liking people that are confident and successful.
Ballsy.
Yeah. Yep.
Dude, Ben, this has been such a good conversation. We're definitely going to have you back on the podcast and do a Ben Riches part 2 to this because such good information, dude. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course.
Or we'll just wait and watch his Netflix special.
Netflix special. Yep. Rags to riches. Oh,
Hey-yo.
oh man.
Junior high to
Classic.
riches.
Yeah, there we go. Ben, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to kind of pick your brain on stuff, number one, are you open to that? And number two, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm on the Bug Bux group. I post a lot on there, or try to at least. You can search my Instagram or Facebook. I'll give you that. It's ben.riches01 is my Instagram. You can reach me anywhere on that. So
your story is going to be a really fun one to follow.
I'm excited to see what happens this year.
It's going to be really good. Awesome, man. Cool. Well, everybody else that's listening in, of course, we appreciate you guys taking the time. If you have a coworker, manager, or an owner who could benefit from listening to this episode, the best way to say thank you to us is to share this episode with them. If you haven't joined the Facebook groups yet, go find the groups and join. It's Bug Bux Plus. Lots of information and great connections there. And if you have a topic you want discussed on the show, drop it in the group. As always, this episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. Visit bugbuxplus.com to sign up and start building today.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Thanks again for listening in, and until next time, keep building those pest control companies.
You're listening to the Bug Bux Podcast, hosted by Eric Bassett and Jake Claus.